Hello, welcome into the BK Lounge. It is Wednesday, September 25th, 2019. We'll call it a Hump Day Horns Day here on the channel. Short video tonight. We're going to give you an update on some of the things Tom Herman had to say at his media availability earlier this evening, and also further dissect what went into Texas's 36-30 victory over Oklahoma State this past Saturday. Of course, no game this Saturday, bye week for Texas. So normally at this point, we're starting to preview and look ahead to the next opponent the Longhorns have on their schedule. But since there's no game this weekend, we'll continue to look into what happened this past weekend at DKR. More specifically, some of the coaching decisions that were made by Tom Herman and this Texas coaching staff this past weekend. There was a lot of good decisions made by the coaches, but some questionable ones that nearly cost Texas the game against Oklahoma State. So we'll get to those in a second, but I want to give you some current updates. And by the way, please like and share this video. Subscribe to this channel if you are a fan of Texas Longhorn football, Texas Longhorn sports. This is the place to be on YouTube. We'll pump out a couple of different videos every week during football season, and we'll do the same as the calendar transitions to basketball and baseball season as well. This is live on YouTube Live, so I keep forgetting to tweet this out. But if you are somehow watching this live, I've got my other computer next to me, and I already do have a comment. So apparently someone is tuned in, or they have their notifications on YouTube turned on. I appreciate the love, Bruce. I will get to your question in a second. And actually, Tom Herman kind of answered your question already. So Bruce says, howdy BK, do you think that Roschon Johnson sticks at running back after Jordan Whittington comes back? So Tom Herman, speaking to reporters tonight here in Austin, told reporters that Roschon Johnson is going to remain at running back for the rest of the season. There was a conversation yesterday between Herman and Johnson, and apparently the decision was made for Johnson to stay at running back. Now, if I'm not mistaken, on the depth chart last week going into the Oklahoma State game, Johnson was still listed as the third-string quarterback on this Texas football team. They had him at running back, but they also had him at quarterback as well. But according to Tom Herman tonight, he said the conversation was had yesterday, and Roschon Johnson will stick at running back even when Jordan Whittington comes back. And apparently, I saw this on Twitter as well, Tom Herman kind of gave some insight into the conversation between him and Roschon Johnson. He said, hey, kid, this is your decision, this is your career, but we're at the point where we've got to make a decision, because we're 4 games into the season. So Roschon Johnson, if he plays a 5th game, that means he can't use a redshirt year. That means he burns a full year of eligibility. And Roschon Johnson's response to that, when Tom Herman asked him that question, he said, am I still going to be able to help the team? And Tom Herman told him yes, and there's your answer. No redshirt. So Roschon Johnson will stick at running back for the remainder of the 2019 season and will not use a redshirt year. Selfless is an understatement for this kid. Unbelievable. First of all, the willingness to transition over to running back. You don't see too many quarterbacks. You don't see too many players, but especially at the quarterback position, a guy who was a pretty highly touted quarterback recruit. Very rare do you see those guys willing to step up and make a position change for the betterment of the team. Roschon Johnson did that, and he had the opportunity to say, hey, I want to be quarterback in the future for this program. I want to have 4 more years at the University of Texas to play quarterback. I would like to use my redshirt year and not play anymore in 2019. Roschon Johnson didn't do that. And he's looked really, really good as a running back. He's exceeded my expectations. I think he's exceeded the coaching staff's expectations when he made the transition from quarterback to running back. He has been an absolute blessing, and the Longhorns have really needed him, because they have dealt with a ton of injuries at the running back position. Pretty much everybody except for Keontae Ingram, who is a scholarship running back at UT, has missed time in 2019 due to injuries. And honestly, wasn't the case this past weekend against Okie State, because Keontae Ingram was awesome. A real bounce-back performance from him. His best game of 2019, no question. But you could argue against LSU and at times against Rice, maybe Roschon Johnson has been the best running back for the University of Texas so far. I mentioned it on my radio show on the Horn here in Austin. As soon as the decision was made for Johnson to flip from quarterback to running back, I thought it was permanent, like not just 2019 permanent. I'm thinking maybe Roschon Johnson is going to remain at quarterback for the rest of his at running back, for the rest of his Texas career. I think he looks really good there, number one. And number two, I just don't see a whole lot of playing time for him at QB in his future. You've got potentially, probably, 2 more years of Sam, or 1 more year after this year. And then Casey Thompson is the current QB2 on this team. He's got 3 more years after this year. And you've also got Hudson Card from Lake Travis. You've got Jaquindon Jackson. You've got 4 other quarterback commits to the University of Texas over the next couple of years. And I don't want to say there's no chance for Roschon Johnson to be better than any of those guys and beat out all of those guys, but it just seemed like slim odds that Roschon Johnson was going to have a clear path to be the starting quarterback at the University of Texas. Now, the Longhorns have plenty of running backs committed in the future, including 5-star Bijan Robinson for the class of 2020. So there's going to be some competition in that running back room. And once Jordan Whittington comes back this year, there's going to be some competition for playing time there as well. But I really think this might be a long-term, not just 2019 move, but a long-term move for Roschon Johnson and for this Texas football team. Tip of the cap to him, man. I mean, in an era of the transfer portal, when all of these kids at the first little hint of competition, they enter the transfer portal, they want to go play somewhere else. Roschon Johnson has been committed to this team as anybody and has been a huge part of this team's success early on in 2019. So on that note, Tom Herman tonight also told reporters that Jordan Whittington, who of course is dealing with a groin injury that has caused him to miss every game since Louisiana Tech, and he barely played against La Tech as well. No setbacks following the surgery that he had. And the best case scenario, according to Tom Herman, as we got a little bit of a lag here in this video, I apologize from that, having some Wi-Fi issues tonight at the apartment. But according to Tom Herman, the best case scenario is that Jordan Whittington returns after the West Virginia game, which is, of course, next weekend after the bye. And if you put 2 and 2 together, after West Virginia, the next game is Oklahoma, is the Red River Shootout up in Big D. So that would be huge if you're able to get Jordan Whittington back for that one. I'm not quite sure. It didn't sound like a 100% vote of confidence from Tom Herman there, but at least there's a chance that 2.5 weeks from now, when Texas straps it up against OU at the Cotton Bowl, you might have the true freshman Jordan Whittington out on the field. How much he would play, how effective he would be, I don't know. But once again, the fact that his name is being mentioned as a possibility in that game, obviously a good sign for Texas. A couple of other smaller nuggets. One small, one kind of important nugget that Tom Herman mentioned tonight. Kennedy Lewis and Braden Liebrock, a couple of freshmen, 1 wide receiver, 1 tight end. Those are likely redshirt candidates, according to Herman. Lewis has played in 2 games so far this year. Liebrock has played in 1. Once again, the max is 4. And once you play in that 5th game, that's when you burn up your eligibility. So those guys, at least according to Coach Herman, candidates for an extra year. And also an update on, man, I'm really laggy. I apologize for this, guys. I don't know what is going on. I'm afraid to touch anything or really mess with anything right now. I think I'm like completely frozen at this point, which usually doesn't happen. Encoding overload. Uh-oh, that's not what I want to get. That's not what I want to see. All right, well, I'm going to continue to broadcast as if we are working, because I think we're still working. The video might be behind the audio tonight, and I apologize for that. But anyways, an update on Colin Johnson, who has missed the last 2 games with a hamstring injury. Tom Herman said he's doing good. They got the MRI, and apparently it was in between a grade 1 to grade 2 hamstring strain. Colin Johnson had a PRP injection, which Tom Herman says take a while, but he also said hopefully when Colin Johnson comes back, this won't be something that he has to deal with for the rest of the season. So he's hopeful that he's back for the West Virginia game, but they're not holding their breath, is what Tom Herman said. So they're going to wait until Colin Johnson is as close to 100% as possible before they get him back on the field. And man, I just kind of assumed, I'll be honest, I assumed he'd be out there for Oklahoma State. And I figured, okay, if you're resting him for Oklahoma State, then for sure, definitely he'd be back after the bye week against West Virginia. But apparently that might not be the case as well. All right, you know what? I'm gonna try something real quick. I might completely screw up this stream. I apologize for everybody watching this live right now, and even the people who are watching this delayed. Let me see if I can do this here. Hopefully this doesn't completely knock me off the internet. Trying to switch the Wi-Fi from 5G to 2G. It's very exciting stuff. This is the content I know you guys are here for. All right, so I don't know if that did anything. But we are going to, so there's your Colin Johnson update. Once again, no 100% clarity from Tom Herman there. Still not sure whether or not Colin will be able to play against West Virginia. Sounds like the coaching staff is being patient with this. They're going to wait till Colin Johnson is as close to 100% as possible before they trot him back on the field. He was a game-time decision against Oklahoma State. Obviously did not play. I assume that'll be the case for West Virginia. I assume it'll be a game-time type of deal for Colin Johnson. And we might not find out until next Saturday, the day of the West Virginia game, if Colin Johnson is going to suit up in Morgantown. So that's the future. I do want to get to the past and continue to talk Texas, Oklahoma State. I want to break down some of the coaching decisions that were made by Texas this past Saturday that nearly cost the Longhorns the game. And in previous years, when Sam Ehlinger is not a junior and not as good as he is, probably do cost Texas the football game. Now, Todd Orlando is exempt from all this. He coached a whale of a game on Saturday. The defense did a phenomenal job. Go check out my video from a couple of days ago if you want more of a breakdown of the job the defense did against Oklahoma State's offense. I know they gave up 30 points, but all three of the touchdowns, 21 of the 30 points that Oklahoma State had came off of the 3 Texas turnovers, the 2 muff punts and the Sam Ehlinger interception, in which Oklahoma State had short fields. They started those drives in plus territory. So you take away those drives, then it was a dominant defensive performance. I know Texas gave up a lot of yards. They gave up some chunk plays, but they stiffened up in the red zone, and that was the difference in the game. When Texas got into the red zone, they came away with 7. When Oklahoma State got into the red zone, the Texas defense toughened up, and Oklahoma State had to settle for 3. So Todd Orlando, you're off the hook tonight. This is offensive and special teams coaching snafus from Saturday. So I'm going to pull up a couple of pictures here over my face, which is good. The less of my face, the better. I work in radio for a reason, and it looks like the video quality is back on track. Looks like the timing is okay. But so let's take a look. So we're going to start with, this is a 4th down and 3 for the Longhorns. So you can see the time and place, 5.5 minutes to go, second quarter. The Longhorns are up 14-6. Texas had a 3rd and 7 on the previous play. They ran a 4-yard completion, a 4-yard pass over the middle to Devin Duvernay to pick up 4 yards. And the Longhorns very quickly run up to the line, and so they're not going for the field goal. I mean, very quickly, the offense, they stay on the field, they get into this formation right here. Now, I don't love the decision to not take the 3 points right here. You're up 14-6. It's an 8-point game. You've got one of the most reliable kickers in the country. You know he can hit. This is about you're at the 28, about a 45, 46-yard field goal. Cameron Dicker hit a 57-yarder against Rice last week. You know he's got the range. You know he's more than capable of hitting a field goal from this distance. Why not take the 3 points right here and make it a 2-possession game? I didn't understand that decision at all, but I can live with it. I can live with that decision. It's the first half. You want to be aggressive. I usually don't get on my team's coaches for being overly aggressive. I'd prefer overly aggressive versus overly passive any day of the week. I've had to deal with Jason Garrett and Scott Linehan as a Cowboys fan. I know what that's like. So this is 4th and 3, and I'm afraid to play video because when I tried doing videos of highlights and some trial runs that I did, I would get some copyright notices, some copyright errors, so we're not going to mess with this. But the play was a handoff straight up the gut to Roschon Johnson. We were just talking about him. Roschon Johnson to the left of Sam Ehlinger. You've got, obviously, trips receivers on the left side of the formation, and it's 4th down and 3. Look at the defense that Oklahoma State has out here. I mean, this is a loaded box. You've got 8 to 9 Cowboys defenders in this box. The ninth guy, I guess, is covering, I think that's Duvernay right there in the slot. The ninth guy is kind of covering Duvernay, but he's also kind of right near the box as well. So I'm going to say 8.5 Oklahoma State defenders in the box. And if you're Texas, you've got 5 offensive linemen and a tight end. So you've got 6 guys blocking 8.5. It's basic math right there. You're running into a loaded box, which more often than not, it's going to lead to an unsuccessful play. Sure enough, a handoff straight up the gut to Roschon Johnson. He doesn't get there. Really bad play call. Whether or not you agree with Tom Herman's decision to go for it in the first place on this 4th and 3, that's one thing, but this was a bad decision. And Tom Herman even said it after the game, that this was the wrong play call. Said it was the right decision, and the binder that he always talks about, the binder said to go for it here, but he even said it was a bad play call. We screwed that one up. And I agree 100%. Now, hey, maybe Sam Ehlinger has the ability to check out of this play and switch it to a pass play. I mean, hell, take a shot right here. You got 4th and 3. Look at the press coverage that Oklahoma State is playing. I've got no problem with either Eagles or Epps just saying, go. Run a vertical here. You've got one-on-one. I'm going to throw one near the goal line, and I'm going to trust that you are going to come down with this football. That would be a fine play call right there. I assume Sam Ehlinger has the autonomy to audible out of this one, but Texas was going so quickly that just felt like, all right, they just did whatever Tom Herman and this coaching staff called from the sideline. They ran it into this loaded box. Bad decision. Turnover on downs. Big momentum play for Oklahoma State. So there's one coaching gripe that I have. And I'm not losing any sleep over this, guys. I've slept fine. I always sleep fine the week after a win, and now that it's a bye week, I'm going to sleep great for the next 2 weeks. It's awesome. But that's one coaching gripe that, hey, Texas could have had 3 points, or if they call a better play, maybe that turns into a touchdown drive. Here is play number 2. We've got 3 of these. Take a look at the scene. This is 4th quarter. Texas up 36-23, so a 2-possession game, a little over 8 minutes to play in regulation. 3rd down and 1, and, man, I think Tom Herman's got a personal vendetta against me. I mean, I know he probably doesn't, but I'm going to keep running with this because I am the biggest proponent. Well, I'm not. Maybe stats, numbers are the biggest proponent of on 3rd and 4th and short, line up under center and run a quarterback sneak. It's the most successful short yardage play in the NFL. It's the most successful short yardage play in college football. And you've got a 6'3", 230-pound quarterback who was one of the best running quarterbacks in the country. Line him up under center. You've got half a yard to go. I don't even know if it's a full yard here on 3rd and 1. You've got one of the best offensive lines in the conference, if not the country. These guys balled out on Saturday. They've been balling out all season. You're telling me the combination of this O-line and Sam Ehlinger, if Sam's lining up under center, he snaps it and just falls forward or runs forward, you're telling me that you can't pick this up? So what the play was is shotgun snap and a delayed quarterback draw for Sam Ehlinger up the middle. He gets stuffed. 4th down, Longhorns ultimately punt. And Sam Ehlinger isn't running into the most favorable box here either. Oklahoma State's got 7 in the box. Now, quarterback sneak, it shouldn't matter. I know the defense, I know the linebackers would be a little bit closer to the line of scrimmage if Sam was lined up under center. But man, this needs to be a quarterback sneak. There were a couple of opportunities at the goal line against LSU in which Texas didn't line up under center and go quarterback sneak. They ended up turning it over on downs multiple times inside the 2-yard line in that first quarter. Sorry to bring up bad memories. Now you had another opportunity to do it here against Oklahoma State, and you didn't do it. And I can't, for the life of me, figure out why. Now, we've got video output low. All right, sorry. I think we're still rolling, but sorry, viewers. This is probably some low-quality stuff for you guys. But anyways, the number one excuse from Texas fans, people who text into the show, they say, well, Texas runs every play from the shotgun. They don't ever line up under center. Well, you got to practice that, of course. I don't care if this is the only play that you have when you line up under center. I don't care if the defense knows exactly what you're going to do every time Sam Ehlinger gets right up behind Zach Shackelford. It's still going to work 75, 80% of the time. And I will take those odds any day of the week and twice on Saturday. So this made absolutely no sense to me. I know this is a play that's worked a lot for Texas over the last year and a half, but it didn't work against LSU, and it didn't work here. And I'm telling you, it's the numbers back me up on this. The most successful short yardage play in all of football, line up under center, and quarterback sneak it. And hell, put Keontae Ingram or Roschon Johnson or Danny Young behind Sam Ehlinger to push the pile forward. Give him a little bush push. If he somehow gets stopped up by the OSU front, that wouldn't happen. This was a big play. And you ended up punting it back to Oklahoma State. This game obviously got tough and tight. It needed an onside kick at the end that Texas had to recover to hold on for the victory. But if you pick this up here, the drive continues, more time goes off the clock, and Texas probably gets into field goal range, so has a chance to extend the lead even more, and obviously could potentially turn this into a touchdown drive, which would make it 3 possessions with under 8 minutes to go. So that's coaching gripe number 2. I feel like Tom Herman and I are at an impasse here. We're just going to be disagreeing on this all year. And I think Tom Herman's a hell of a coach. He knows a hell of a lot more than I do, but this isn't just me, man. These are the numbers. And Tom Herman, I don't know if it's stubbornness at this point or what, but man, for the life of me, I hope the next 3rd and goal or 3rd and 1, 4th and 1 situation, something like this, then he lines Sam Ehlinger up under center and runs a quarterback sneak. I think it's going to work. So, all right. So let's go to the last play. Once again, I have no idea if this video is even live anymore, if you guys are even seeing me. I apologize. Some of y'all have been chatting, so I assume we're still okay. So one more of these. One final coaching gripe from what took place on Saturday. And you can nitpick things left and right with every coach in every game. That's just football. And sitting on the couch, I always think I'm smarter than every coach. It's definitely not true, but that's how most fans are, right? But these are 3 that very seriously could have cost the Longhorns the game. And this is the last one, and this is the most important one. This is the onside kick by Oklahoma State. Minute and a half to go. Oklahoma State just scored the touchdown because Brandon Jones decided to go Willie Mays or Willie Mays Hayes and make a heroic sliding catch on an Oklahoma State punt. Cowboys get an extra possession. They drive down the field for a touchdown. You can blame the coaches for that. Tom Herman said after the game, yeah, probably should have had a conversation with Brandon Jones about what to do in that situation. You know, let it bounce. Let it roll around. That's fine. Stay out of the way. If you're not sure you're going to catch it, stay out of the way. And yeah, you can get on Tom Herman for that. I'm going to kind of get on the senior captain for not knowing better. Brandon Jones knows better. That was a very, very questionable decision, and it almost cost Texas, but thankfully it didn't. This also almost cost Texas. So here's the onside kick, and just take a look at this formation. So Oklahoma State ends up kicking this to the left. And Oklahoma State, they've got the kicker. They've got 5 guys on each side of the kicker. 5 to the right, 5 to the left. Look at what Texas has on its kickoff coverage. So obviously the Longhorns are 10 yards deep at the 45. Texas has only 3 guys on the right side of the field. Now, technically, I can't remember if this is Adamora or if this is Chris Brown or who this is, but the guy standing on the left horn of the Longhorn logo, he's kind of on the right side. He's on the right side of the football, but he's still to the left of that 5th Oklahoma State gunner. So if Oklahoma State's going to kick left here, they've got 5 guys, and Texas only has 3 on the left side of the formation. Texas in this spot should have called a timeout. They should have seen what Oklahoma State did right here, and they should have adjusted their formation accordingly. Like, Texas is defending an onside kick to the right or straight up the middle. They are not at all prepared for an onside kick to the left, and maybe Mike Gundy called this. Maybe Oklahoma State's kicker has the freedom to kick it wherever he wants just based off what he sees. Maybe I'll give him credit. He saw this formation. He saw that Texas had a shortage of dudes on the left side and decided to kick it to the left because OSU had that numbers advantage. He does kick it to the left, and all hell breaks loose. Oklahoma State nearly recovers. Thankfully, Chris Adamora coming as one of these 2 guys in between the hashes. Adamora came over and recovered the onside kick. That ball was loose for, it felt like an eternity. But, so the formation is a problem. And also, the first guy who had a chance to recover the onside kick for Texas. I wish I had like a pointer or something right here. But it's number 57, who is one of the three guys on the left side, or the right side of the formation for Texas, I should say. He's the guy closest to the numbers. And number 57, I don't even know who it is. I don't even want to mention his name. I don't even want to know his name because I don't know if we're ever going to need it again. I think he's a walk-on, just-turned scholarship player, and I don't want to call him out. I would feel mean. I would feel disrespectful for calling out a kid. And thankfully, Chris Adamora was able to recover this for Texas, because if he didn't, I sure as hell would know number 57's name. Everybody in Austin, every Longhorn fan around the world would know who number 57 was, because he had the golden opportunity to recover this onside kick and he missed it. But my gripe, less to do with him, the coaches, why do you have anybody wearing number 57 on the front line of the hands team? Number 57? It's a linebacker's number or an offensive lineman's number. Why is that guy on your hands team? Why are you going to entrust that guy to recover an onside kick? The most important play in the game, you're going to put a guy who hadn't seen the field all season out there and trust him to fall on the ball to make the play. That, to me, makes absolutely no sense. And Chris Adamora, by the way, not even a normal guy on the onside kick coverage for Texas. He was only in there because of injury, so he was the hero. But, man, I don't know why number 57 is on the hands team right there. Maybe the plan is for him to block for the guy standing at the Texas 48-yard line. Maybe that's the plan there. I believe that's Malcolm Epps right there. But that's not what he did. He tried to fall on the football like that was his job. Like his responsibility was, hey, when the ball goes 10 yards, you just fall on it. And he whiffed completely. Credit Oklahoma State's kicker. It was a pretty good onside kick from Amendola. But my goodness, that could have been really, really bad. And I know Texas defense played really well throughout the majority of the night. But, man, you give Spencer Sanders, Chuba Hubbard, Tylan Wallace one more opportunity with the ball right around midfield, a minute and a half and 3 timeouts, down by 6. I don't know if Texas wins this football game. So the special teams miscues were numerous and monstrous for Texas on Saturday and nearly cost the Longhorns the game. And if Sam Ehlinger isn't as good as Sam Ehlinger is, then they probably do cost the Longhorns the football game. But the 2 muffed punts and this unbelievably questionable onside kick coverage by Texas. Number 1, with the formation, you're losing the numbers game here. And number 2, well, you're also losing the numbers game by having a guy wearing number 57 on the field on your hands team. Neither of those things made any sense. Thankfully, Chris Adamora is the hero. Now he's a household name amongst Texas fans for recovering that. So there you go. Once again, Texas got the win. I'm not too stressed about it. I'm not losing any sleep over it. But I did want to mention those to you guys. And Tom Herman said it after the game. This was not a well-coached or a well-played game in certain spots, but we got the win, and that's it. That is perfectly accurate. The players misexecuted at times, as did the coaches, as we just talked about. But what's most important is the Longhorns got a victory over a good Oklahoma State team, an Oklahoma State team that's obviously given Texas problems, especially here in Austin over the last decade. Texas got the job done. They are 1-0 in conference play. And honestly, Oklahoma State might end up being the 3rd or 4th best team in this league. They look pretty damn good so far. That offense is going to give them a chance against just about everybody in this league, maybe outside of Oklahoma. And I know it's a rivalry game, but OU seemingly wins that one every year. Texas doesn't get a whole lot of help from Oklahoma State in that regard. But the Longhorns, once again, they got the victory. But just wanted to tell y'all and inform y'all. Let me know your thoughts. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe I'm overanalyzing. But a couple of key coaching decisions nearly cost Texas on Saturday. All right, let me see. We got a couple of chats right here, a couple of thank yous. Safety, question about the safety position. We're going to wait and see. We'll definitely talk about that next week when we start to preview the West Virginia game a little bit more. Obviously, Caden Stearns being out is big. Jalen Green being out. Josh Thompson, all of those guys are out for at least 4 weeks, so they won't be a part of things against West Virginia. The hope is that B.J. Foster and or DeMarvion Overshown will come back to provide that secondary some reinforcements. But obviously that's a question going into the West Virginia game and going into the game against Oklahoma the following week as well. There's still a ton of talented defensive backs on this team, even without those guys, but not very tested, not very experienced on the back end is this Texas secondary. CB says, 24-2017, Texas loses this game. I agree 100%. In the past, all of these mistakes cost Texas a victory against Oklahoma State. This year, they did enough right to where they could still come away with the win despite the lack of execution in certain spots. So, all right, guys, that's going to do it for tonight's video. As always, please like this video, share this video, and subscribe to this channel. Tell your friends, man, if you're looking for some Longhorn football conversation throughout the year, this is the place to be. Always appreciate y'all's support, especially Chris and Bruce tonight for hitting it up on the live chat. And if you're in Austin, listen to The Horn, midday with Trey and BK, 11 to 1 during football season. HornFM.com if you're outside